Ladies and gentlemen, there are bad days, there are frustrating days, and then there are days when you completely lose your cool. Today, President William Samoei Ruto is having one of those days, and Kenyans cannot stop talking about it.
Alafu leo juu umekasirishwa, sasa hatutapumua.
Depre. Kasongo amelose tempa yake leo pale X.
Umejaa? Karibu kuwaka moto kama dragon.
For the first time in a very long time, the president genuinely sounded rattled. Not annoyed, not irritated, rattled.
Hawa nayo sasa imeshakuwa personal. Hawa sasa wapangu kwa vurugu 3.
And it's all because of one person. One person who we kind of thought that they've become friends. But it turns out that we were wrong about it. Let me explain. If you love this kind of content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Now let's get to the video.
From dusty plains of Marsabit to the coastal shores of Mombasa.
Simu utakuwa unapiga free of charge. Simu haitakuwa inakatika kwa sababu sasa tutakuwa tumedeploy internet.
Nearly 4 years into the Kenya Kwanza administration, KTN embarks on a journey tracing the footprints of every project that the Kenya Kwanza administration has promised Kenyans since they took office. This promise tracker, a KTN special report, begins right here
at the Nithi Bridge in Tharaka Nithi County. This is the most promised project by President William Ruto. Did he deliver or not?
You see, for the last several days, one media house has been relentlessly going after the president's neck. It is the Standard Media Group. Every morning, every headline, every front page, it has been one uncomfortable headline after another. And whether you agree with those headlines or not, that is not the point. Because criticism comes with the office. Every president in the world gets criticized. That is basically part of the job.
Hii ndio sababu tumewekewa hicho text kikubwa asubuhi. And I wonder, mtu siku moja tu anaamuka anaanza kucomplain. At least you have a platform. Kenyans don't have anyone to complain to.
In fact, William Samoei Ruto himself, he has defended the right of media houses to criticize governments.
We must defend the free media. We must defend their right to criticize, to say whatever it is that they want to say.
But today, it seems something has changed. The president did not take his own advice. As a matter of fact, the president logged onto his X account. And instead of just ignoring what he saw, instead of laughing it off, instead of allowing communications team to actually handle it, he personally fired back. And what followed has left a lot of Kenyans with a lot of questions.
Which transformative agenda? Wewe hata ujui damu ya Gen Z bado haijakuita vizuri. Itakuita hadi ufike Nebukadneza.
Sasa heri wewe uko na mahali kwa kucomplain. Lakini hivyo ndio Wakenya kila siku asubuhi wanaamka wakisikia.
I wanted to look at this tweet. Capital letters everywhere. Random punctuations. Sentences running into each other. Words squeezed together. Anger was literally jumping off the screen. This was not the carefully crafted language that people expect from a head of state. This one looked personal. Very personal.
Mimi nataka nikuambie wewe mwenye standard na unajijua vizuri. Hatukubembelezi tena.
The question is simple. How did the newspaper get this far under the president's skin?
You guys, your president is upset. He's upset. Mpaka he's typing himself. He tweeted this himself. Mnaona? This is him. This is him. This is him.
Think about it. This is not just a random blogger. This is not an opposition politician. For God's sake, it's not Gachagua, Kalonzo, or Sifuna. This is a newspaper. A newspaper. And somehow, it managed to provoke a reaction that has now become bigger than the headlines themselves.
He's mad. He's upset.
And that is where this story becomes even more interesting. Because once the president posted that tweet, Kenyans immediately sensed blood in the water. And social media actually exploded. The memes started flying in.
When we hear boy drop, we have to smile and laugh.
The jokes started pouring in. People began analyzing every single word, every missing punctuation mark, every capital letter, every sentence. And the verdict from many, many Kenyans was simple. Why is the president so pissed? Why is the president so pissed? Tulisema ukikasirika, umebanned. That became the joke. Why is he shouting? Why is he this angry? Why is he this frustrated?
Oh, he's upset. I love it. I'm aroused.
Why does this newspaper seem to have complete control over his emotions?
Mimi nikiwa moja yao.
You and I know the answer to that. The answer is simple. Gideon Moi, the son to former president Daniel Arap Moi. If there are two people who our president William Samoei Ruto is never really okay with, is two people. Gideon Moi and Uhuru Kenyatta. These two have genuinely sidelined the guy. They've refused to let him into the rich people club. Not even the rich people club. Let's call it the elite. And he thought the money was the problem. He went and got the money. He has a lot of money, but they've genuinely refused to let him into the elite club. So he has a lot of beef with these people because he's like, I thought the money was the issue. I got the money. Why ain't you letting me into the club? And the answer he seems to get is, you are simply not cool enough. And then the Standard responded, and honestly, their response may have just made things a little worse, because instead of becoming defensive, they turned the entire thing into comedy. They essentially told the president, thank you for reading our newspaper.
Now, as we speak, the Standard media is actually even trolling the president.
Then they took his own words and flipped them against him. The famous line that he said, Jaribu 8 days a week, they turned it into a marketing tool. Now, suddenly the internet was flooded with jokes about Standard publishing 8 days a week. People were mocking the entire situation.
Enda tu kwa, unaona penye president ameweka hiyo tweet yake. Angalia the quotes, the people who have now replied on that particular tweet. Let me tell you, it's gone berserk, it's gone out of hand.
And the president had unintentionally handed them free advertising.
Standard Media Group, keep doing what you're doing. Inject. Haijaingia vizuri. Haijaingia kwa misuli. Intermuscular. IV. Ingia vizuri.
But beneath all that laughter, there's actually a serious question. A very serious one. What happens when president starts reacting emotionally to criticism? Because criticism is not going anywhere. If criticism from a newspaper generates this level of reaction today, what happens when there's actually a real political crisis? What happens when the pressure gets even greater? Leadership is not tested when people are praising you. Leadership is tested when people are actually attacking you, when headlines are against you, when the public mood is against you, when everything feels unfair. That is when restraint actually matters the most. That is when people expect a president to look presidential.
He's upset. Mpaka he's typing himself. He tweeted this himself. Mnaona?
And that is why so many Kenyans are actually talking about this tweet. Not because it was offensive, not because it was shocking, but because it felt unusually emotional. And emotions are contagious. When citizens feel like a president is sounding frustrated, they start asking questions about confidence, questions about pressure, questions about what is happening behind the scenes, questions about whether things are becoming too much for this president.
William Ruto is one person is a person with two personalities. The William Ruto that presents himself to the public is a completely different character from the one that sits behind in the office and crafts stuff. William Ruto is actually unfit for the position of President of the Republic of Kenya. I have come sadly to that conclusion.
The tweet achieved exactly the opposite of what it was intended to achieve. Instead of silencing the Standard, it actually amplified them. Now everyone is actually talking about it. Instead of making people focus on his message, people focus now on his mood, on his mental status. Is our president okay? Instead of ending the story, he actually became the story. And that is why this entire episode has become such a big conversation across the country. Because whether you support William Samoei Ruto or whether you oppose him, most Kenyans expect one thing from a president: composure. And today, many people are left wondering, where had that composure gone to? Subscribe.